Worked all day. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
going on?
No, just thought I'd talk to you about Manchester United. Did you watch the game earlier then?
No, I just read the commentary.
Yeah, it was.
And
Well, it
yeah.
was much improved. I mean, they actually played with a bit of intent and attacking wise and everything, but still they couldn't beat them. So basically, it was shit, and we should get rid of Louis Van Twat.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion on it.
Why?
Well, he's had all this time and money, and okay, we played okay today against Chelsea, or a weakened Chelsea. They're not the same Chelsea they were last year.
Hold on. Let's go back a little bit. All this time, how long has he been at the club?
Like getting on for a year and a half now,
Yeah, 18 months. He inherited someone else's team.
and he spent a
He
quarter of a
bought,
billion
yeah,
pounds.
right. And you're 15 games into the season. There's a bit of time to gel there, cheese. Okay.
Time to gel. He's had freaking 18 months to gel. No,
It's not had 18 months to gel because how much did he first spend when he came in? You tell
yeah,
me which window he spent the most in. It was the last one, right?
yeah, the
Well,
last
no,
one, yeah.
they got Schweinsteiger for a bargain, Martial, who's 19. And then he's just playing. I mean, he's not been able to buy a decent defender, really. Inherited the best keeper in the world.
Well, he could have bought a decent defender, but he bought Martial instead, which at the time seemed crazy. Obviously, now it seems like a bit of a masterstroke, but he should have probably bought a defender and kept Hernandez. You
But
know?
if there wasn't a defender, a masterstroke. So it seems like a masterstroke. So he's bought Schweinsteiger for nothing. Seems like him and Woodward. Woodward.
Mm.
Uh, he's got Martial. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, all right. Sounds pretty good so far. How's Darmain?
yeah, I like him. Recently, he's been a
Okay,
bit
so that's
shit, but
three really good signings.
well,
How's Neitherly?
yeah. You can't fault Schweinsteiger. You can't fault Martial.
Okay.
Um,
So basically, you can't fault any of his signings. They were top of the league, a month ago? Now they're sixth in the league. They're 9 points off the lead, which really isn't 9 points because Arsenal are melters. And Leicester are fade. As good a team as Leicester are, they will fade.
yeah, they will
Um,
absolutely fade. Yeah.
but they're not, they're going to finish out. They're a good team. Um, I don't understand what your point is, to be honest with you. I really don't get it.
Well, you think Manchester United should just persevere with Louis Van Gaal?
Yes, I do.
That really surprises me because you, of all people, you absolutely love a bit of Jose Mourinho action.
I think Mourinho's great. My fear with Mourinho is, sometimes you lose stuff in life. You lose it.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing he had going for him, he's lost. And that was the Jose Mourinho mystique. And now it's not there. He's been exposed. And I think he'll bounce back really well. But how he does that, I don't want to take.
He will bounce back really well. I mean, this whole season with Chelsea, he basically lost the dressing room, through one way or another.
Second, but
The
it's
minute the minute
happened
he left,
with.
the players are just cunts, mate. The minute he left, they literally played like unbelievable out their skin. The next game he
Yeah,
left. So
but he's done that with every team. Anyway, let's not talk too long about Mourinho because we can, there's no point talking about him when he's just sitting in London and we actually have a manager who, by the way, has a pretty good track record himself, who
he's got a
seems
good
to.
track
Okay,
record of getting sacked.
here's the difference. Here's the difference. The game today, from what I read, is United literally dominated the whole game. From what I read, they were pressing high. They were like United, not pressing high, like all out pressure. The
Yeah,
defender talking out wide. They probably had a line of confrontation, right? And I haven't watched the game, but they probably had a line of confrontation. They were getting on the ball. There was a lot of movement. There was a lot of fizz, okay? And they were getting opportunities from that. Okay, am I right? Does that kind of describe the game?
yeah, they will for the
We
first
were
20 minutes at least.
okay.
Yeah.
So, if your manager, you saw the difference between Mourinho and Van Gaal. What? Anyway,
Van
um,
Gaal.
Mourinho, when he needed to win, his players mailed it in. That Bournemouth game was ridiculous. I was at the pub here watching it, and there was one moment this left back, and I can't remember his name. They're all, Chelsea players. He
That's
would
Clifford,
not
though.
run. He would not make an overlap or even clear out space. He passed the ball to the left winger. All he had to do was either back up and clear out space or get round him. He just wouldn't run. They were just mailing it in, as they say here.
Mm.
You saw that Van Gaal's back against, was against the wall today. What they do, they played out in the skin. They attacked him. They attacked him. They attacked him. That's not a guy that's lost the dressing room. And to be honest, if you haven't lost the dressing room after all the pressure that's been on him, because it'd be very easy for these players to just think, well, I've got my contract, I'm good to go. Get this guy out. He's a knobhead. Because they did say Johnny Evans' one critique of Van Gaal was that you almost feel like a robot out there. You're constantly wondering, should I be 10 yards this way? Should I be 10 yards that way? Instead of like go and play and have fun.
Yeah,
But
that's what the problem has been all season, though, is putting
right,
shitloads of limits on the players and not having the freedom and creative,
right,
to go.
right. So, but it takes time to gel. And clearly he's had massive success before. I mean, I know the Milan team in '94, you had ridiculous players, right?
Yeah.
It was
Same with
loaded.
the Ajax team, really.
Maldini's the easiest one. I'm sorry. The Ajax team was completely loaded. It was a ridiculously good team.
Yeah.
Lippmann and I don't know why I'm saying Lippmann. Wasn't Overmars in that team?
Yeah,
Uh,
Overmars, Bergkamp,
was Bergkamp in that team? I think you're wrong there, mate.
Seedorf. Bergkamp was in the team,
Seedorf,
wasn't he? Bergkamp was in the team, wasn't
no.
he? Seedorf.
Van der Sar,
Yeah,
no.
Van der Sar.
I don't think Bergkamp, no.
Are
Anyway,
you sure about that?
they had a ridiculous amount of good players, but he's gone on.
Was he proof?
He's managed massive clubs. He's consistently for over 20 years, and it tells me that they've lost a few games and the dressing room hasn't given up. They'll probably go on and win the league.
I mean, I like the optimist in you here, but I mean,
It's not optimistic. I'm just saying. Why is it optimistic? I don't understand why it's optimistic.
Because okay, we played okay today against Chelsea. Let's face it, and not the same Chelsea they were last year.
The ones that are the same Chelsea that were last
You've
year.
got to
Why?
let me speak, mate. You just interrupted me. This isn't how this shit works.
No, I'm asking you to explain why not the same Chelsea this year.
Why they're not the same Chelsea as last season?
Yeah, explain that to me.
Because they're right down at the bottom of the freaking foot of the table, buddy. They're having absolute nares. They're not winning games.
Okay, do they have the same players they did last year?
Yes, they do, Tom, but it's not really about this.
They are the champions last year. Well, clearly it is about the players because they're on the pitch.
At the moment. They've got a new manager. They're in a transitional period. They're in a transitional period.
They're not in a transitional period because they're the same.
They've got a new manager in. It's a total change of tactics and everything. Today it wasn't a change of tactics. They just played classic.
They haven't got a new manager and they've got a babysitter. And here's the deal: you've got the same team that won the league, and then you've got a team that gave up, and then you've got a team that's rebounding now, playing for a lot of them players are playing for big contracts now. They're playing to either if they get shipped out, they've got to go somewhere big. They're paying for money. They're playing for money, which a lot of them greedy bastards. That will be their number one. You've got a coach come in who's going to just go, there's not much you can change in a couple of weeks. Today was probably the most dangerous time you could have played Chelsea in the last year and a half, including when they won the title. You got the same players and they're going at it, but we battered them, and we battered them away because you got Schweinsteiger and Schneidlin in midfield. Did you notice? I mean, I know United's goals this year have not been good. I mean, they haven't scored a lot, but we went a ridiculous amount of games with clean sheets, and it was when Schneidlin and Schweinsteiger in midfield because they're fantastic. Okay, and then you've got all these players coming back. Rooney just needs fitness. That's his problem.
Yeah,
and he'll be the best player in the league again.
Rooney was good today, actually.
He's genetically disposed. He's not genetically a soccer player. So, and I mean that from a purely physical standpoint.
You can tell you've been in America for a long time, haven't
you? Technically, he's a genius. He can read the game beautifully. He's got everything apart from he's lumbered with a Phil Mitchell body, right? Okay, right? I mean, it's like Phil Mitchell and Pat got it on in the back seat, and that's the offspring. And he happened to just kick a football around the street until he was, 15, and then cycled to the training ground and whatever. Anyway, you can always tell when Rooney's on form and when he's not, because he always does that turn. One time every game, he's always kind of drifts out to the right, opens up his body. He's so good reading and falling into spaces no matter what. And he turns. And he moves into that space, and then he shoots on goal from 25 yards. It happens nearly every game. There's a moment like that. And you can tell when he's on form, because if he's on form, that flies into the crowd, even if he misses it, or it hits the bar, or it goes in, but there's power behind it. You can tell when he's not, because it trickles to the goalkeeper, because he's such a Phil Mitchell body guy, that when he's not got that match, say I got my finger in the middle of the screen.
Yeah,
Hold
you
on.
did. Yeah, I was just about to say it was an
When you
improvement.
haven't got the match sharpness, he's just not. It's like a goalkeeper. A lot of youth soccer goalkeepers, when they are not fit enough, they find it very hard to actually play in goal because most youth soccer, it's in waves. Okay, so ball goes in. It's not normally when the ball enters the attacking third that the other team scores. It's normally like the third or fourth wave if you can't get it out.
Mm.
So when that keeper's had to do a lot in that 3-4 minutes, they're normally panting, and it's a different type of fitness than we're talking about 14-year-old boys, right? 14-year-old girls. If they can't get up and down quick enough, they're disposed to not make an error, but they just won't get to something they could get to if it was the first shot.
Yeah.
So he's just not quite fit enough. When he is fit, and the problem is it seems that every time he gets fit, he'll play 5 games and he'll be as good as anyone. And then after 5 games, he
You see, the
gets like a
problem with
niggly
Wayne
in.
Rooney is I think it's a, as you say, yeah, it is a fitness thing, but it's also a motivational thing as well. I mean, you can't really say he's had a great performance, maybe against Club Brugge in the Champions League qualifier earlier on this year, but other than that, he's not played a great game of football for a couple of years. And considering he used to play a great game of football week in, week out, he's definitely, whether or not it's the system or playing under Van Gaal, and with these players, there's been a big change, obviously, at Manchester United personnel since just a couple of years ago. So maybe, I don't know, but it just seems like he's past it to a certain extent. He's still a very good player, but compared to what he was a couple of years ago, he's not a match winner. I mean, we don't actually have any players in double figures yet, and it's Christmas for goals in the Premier League, and Wayne Rooney's always usually done that.
Well,
So
Wayne Rooney's not a number 9 though, and he's not, and that's the one thing that I think Van Gaal is going to learn. He's just, what is the worst thing about Wayne Rooney, and the best thing. Wayne Rooney's never had a position. He's never actually fit into a functional position.
true,
It's
Fergie played
always
him on the wing at times, didn't he? Back
yeah,
back
yeah,
then.
and I think he's best. I think the best game I've ever seen him play, and it's ridiculous to say this, and I might be completely off there because I just can't think of it. England played Turkey in 2000, and it must have been qualifying for Beckham was captain, maybe the 2004 Euros, and he was 17. He'd come into the squad. Heskey was the starter. Rooney had basically not played much, and they put him in the team because in training he was so good.
Yeah.
And Michael Owen was number 9. And Rooney kept dropping off and just playing Michael Owen time and time again, or just playing him. He just looked unplayable. And
Was that
that's
his
where he's
first
best.
game?
He's best at just dropping into the hole. But you know what? And as well, when we had Hernandez, when Hernandez actually would start, Rooney seemed to flourish then as well. When he's got someone that's just constantly moving the defenders, putting the defenders on their heels, Rooney's best then, when you've got someone that's doing that. When you've not got someone doing that, and he's having to fill that weird role where he doesn't ever seem to know what he's exactly doing, but he'll do something brilliant now and again.
That's it. That's why we need to sort of have him, number 10, because we've got Martial now playing the number 9. So that
Yeah.
you'd think that would make perfect sense. I mean, I actually quite liked it. We played a couple of times with the 2 strikers and with them 2, and they actually can combine really well during that game. I can't remember what game it was now, but so yeah, I hear you, mate. But I don't know if it's. I don't really think it's more as much about the players as it is about the management of the systems. The tempo of the football we're playing is so slow, and it's just so predictable and boring. I mean, I don't know if you know, but in terms of chances created and shots, in the Premier League so far this season, we are actually in the bottom 3 in terms of shots. And considering Manchester United, it just goes to show you, okay, we've got all the possession in the world, we're number 1 in terms of possession, but in terms of actually having an output or cutting teams open, there's not any of that.
It sounds like a person that's got the keys in his pocket and he's jangling around trying to open the door, and he's just about to find the right key to open that door because they've got a ton of possession and they're not creating into chances. But today you said they were exciting, so I don't understand how you've gone from saying that they're suddenly exciting.
I
They're not
don't think they were
suddenly
that
exciting.
exciting, mate. I thought they were right for the first 20 minutes, half an hour, and then it sort of went back into this ingrained philosophy, just passing it sideways around and all that kind of thing. And then Chelsea, Listen, if we didn't have David De Gea in goal, Chelsea would have scored 3 goals today. David De Gea made 3 ridiculous saves.
Okay.
So you
Here's a
can't say
question for
yes, we
you. Here's a
attacked all right.
question for you then. If you could get any manager in the world right now to manage Manchester United, who would it be?
Any manager right now.
Any manager. It doesn't matter if they're contracted somewhere or not.
It'd
Who they're
probably be Pep
Pep who?
Guardiola
Why?
because of the style of football that he plays.
What, boring?
Boring?
Put your deep style football?
Well, it depends what you mean by
I
boring.
have never seen a more boring team than Barcelona play in my life. They just send me to sleep.
Have you not
With
seen
that
Manchester United
tiki-taka.
under Louis van Gaal?
Well, with that tiki-taka. Well, again, this is what my point.
Barcelona were boring, but they ripped teams apart.
I knew you were going to say Pep because I knew you were going to contradict yourself. He coaches soccer, and don't get me wrong, in his own right, he's a genius. But he coaches soccer where it got too much, where they were keeping the ball. Their awareness was so good they were keeping the ball to defend because they figured out that if they had the ball, the other team doesn't, right? Simple game. So they kept the ball to defend. That's why teams started to figure out Barcelona. That's why teams figured out Spain. Well, then we let them have the ball. They can have 60% possession, 70% possession. We'll win the ball and we'll go to goal. The last Champions League final I saw worth watching was Munich against Dortmund when Klopp was managing Dortmund. And who was managing Munich?
Yeah, that great bloke who retired at the end of the season did the treble. What's his name?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, both teams went to goal. Both teams high pressure. Both teams were pressing all over the field. There was no line of confrontation. Both teams were high up. Both teams got the ball and went to goal. That's football. If Pep Guardiola managed Man United, I'd be devastated. I'd be so upset because that's all they do. You get tick-attack, tick-attack, tick-attacker. There's no. As funny as it sounds, there's no game plan. There's no game plan then. And I've heard this bollocks about, what we do is when we lose the ball, we have 5 seconds to get it back. No, you don't. I see them, they drop instantly, and then they just end up winning the ball back because the other team will actually try and go to goal. And then tick-attacker, 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 tick-attacker. It's so, there's no game plan. It's not style of play, actually. He would bleed. He's going to bleed. If he goes to City, he will bleed them dry. I hope he goes Man City.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that, mate, because,
Well, that's just opinion.
Yeah, but if you
Just
look
an
at how
opinion.
effective it is, they win games and they score goals. Okay, I know what you're saying. I remember, both the Champions League final against United, where they just got the ball and they pretty much, numb you into
They look
submission.
genius, but that was before tactics evolved a little bit the last few years, where now teams are realizing what they have to do against that.
Yeah, because Bayern Munich ripped them a new one the next year, didn't they? 7-1 or whatever it was. But,
Yeah, because it was counter-attacking football where they would break in passes and they were in every time, and that's what was happening. So no, I would say that honestly, I would see. Here is the thing: you're saying this now. I know for a fact that a year ago, when what did you call him, the Goblin, Ginger Goblin, was in charge
yeah.
8 months ago. I know you were saying, "Oh, maybe we should get Van Gaal. The guy's doing great with Netherlands. They're fantastic." He subbed the goalkeeper with 1 minute left and he ended up saving the winning penalty. Fucking genius. Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah. He's AC Milan, Ajax, Bayern Munich, Barcelona. Let's get Van Gaal. And you knew nothing about him, just as you know nothing about Pep Guardiola. Really. All you've done would have seen Netherlands play. Oh, Netherlands play exciting football. Yeah, total football. Arjen Robben. They're so boring. It's supposed to passes sideways. Oh, they went out of Europe. Don't know if you remember, Fergie went out of Europe many, many years at the group stage. Oh, okay, there's lots of times after 18 games, Fergie was 9 points off the lead. Just so you know, so to get some perspective. And by the way, Fergie was with United for 5 years and had spent money. Not the kind of money we're talking about now,
Yeah,
but
not
if
the
you
kind of money like
rationalize,
that, mate. That's the sort of
and he
championship money you should be spending to win the title.
and he right, and he was 8th or 9th when they had an emergency board meeting and decided to keep him on. And what was his face? He scored in the FA Cup against Brighton. It saved Fergie's job. If they would have lost that game, and they were very close, he scored the equaliser to take it to a replay. So they lost that game, and the board even admitted he would have got sacked. And I can't remember his name. But he ended up, playing for Norwich or in the lower leagues afterwards. But he scored the goal that kept Fergie. Well, there you go. So to wrap up, because I better get dinner. I think ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous after a year and a half when you've got a guy that you've invested in and he's obviously had a say in who you're buying to not let him carry out. Really, 2.5, 3 years is a minimum. He should get another year, unless they're in the
So
bottom half
why
of the
is
league.
it an acceptable thing to get rid of David Moyes with half the time then and a fraction of the money? But it's acceptable to keep
I
Moyes
don't
on
necessarily
half.
think it was acceptable. I think that it
Well,
was that,
if you look at what's
but
happening now, then David Moyes should have 100% got more time. But the point is, you can't underachieve and underperform when you spend that sort of money and you're Manchester United week in week
yeah,
out.
but
Okay, Manchester United played all right today, but for a long, long time, I mean, they haven't won a game in 8 games. Do you know what I mean? That's ridiculous for Manchester. They're in terrible form. We're playing shit football. We haven't, it doesn't look like it's getting any better. Okay, today there was a glimpse of it, but it doesn't look like it's getting any better under that twat. So it's not even the fact that it's just boring and soulless football, but it's also the fact that it's not even effective and not getting any results. So if you combine all of that, it just combines into a big shitstorm. You know what I mean? So you can't really.
you were gambling with David Moyes. He's managed Everton for a long time. The job was too
You're
big for
gambling
him. You
with
could
any
tell.
manager, to be
Yeah,
fair. I mean, like I want
not really,
I want
not
Jose
really.
Mourinho to come in now because he's available, but that's a
I think
massive gamble.
I think Van Gaal is the perfect man for the job right now. He is the perfect man for the job. He can handle pressure. He can handle adversity. He's got a game plan. They will start scoring goals very, very soon. He's getting everything in place. He's a beautiful man. Well, he,
No, I don't know. I don't see it, mate, myself, but fair
can you
enough.
stand up for me and show me that Vikings jersey, please?
No,
You
mate.
know the Vikings just made the playoffs. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's number 4, Brett Favre, played for the Vikings for 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, but Favre.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Fair enough. Well,
Well,
it's an interesting chat. Nice to know you're still as deluded as ever. Yeah, so there you go. But
time will tell. I mean, if they get him rid of him now, then time won't tell because they would have got rid of him now. But if they stick
they
with
won't
him,
get rid of him now. The board aren't going to get rid of him, mate. They probably should do, but
well, no, they're really. If they're not getting rid of him now, they're really, really smart.
yeah, well, you say that, but I mean, it depends.
You can't. All right, real quick, just to like it to an American football here.
What?
You got Bill Belichick and the Patriots. You've got
This is not a
anyway
good analogy for my subscribers, mate.
New York Giants, Manning and Tom Coughlin. All these massively successful franchises.
Mm.
They've got continuity and longevity between quarterback and coach, the system, everything, and they can piece together, and it evolves over time. It's not something you just put in place after 6 months. All the franchises that are unsuccessful make too many changes, too many new decisions. If you've got honestly, here's what they should do to make soccer a better, more competitive game. What they should do is any contract that you sign up for a coach, unless it's gross misdemeanor or basically can't just be results on the field, as a club, you have to honor that contract. So if you give Jose Mourinho a 5-year contract, he has to be there for 5 years. You can't sack him. You're giving him a contract. And you could do it as well, because you could set objectives. It's just like I'm employed by a bank. Okay? So they say, I need to hit this goal, this goal, this goal as a manager. Otherwise, my job might be in jeopardy, right? But these goals are achievable. They're not ridiculous goals. It's not like I have to win Champions League every single year. And then you'd see that it was a lot more of a successful game, a lot more of an enjoyable game, because you'd actually have styles of play evolve over time instead of just this crap come all the time where it's just there's too much evolution to tactics and soccer and style of play where if you change everything year in, year out, look at Ferguson's teams, how they evolved over times. Look at even Wenger now.
Oh,
You
I
get
totally
it.
agree. I totally agree with you, mate.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work like that. It depends who's in charge. It depends on a lot of variables, you know.
Well,
You
yeah. I
can't
mean,
just
if
have
things, but
success
you
if you
should
stay
say
there for a long
you.
time.
I mean, why don't you give Van Gaal a 2-year contract and say you're here for 2 years unless we finish, below 10th, or it looks like we're going that way. Blah 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 blah. I mean, if anyway, but it's got to be realistic because you're gonna take time. I mean, Moyes. you shouldn't be able to sack managers like that. It's
Got
actually
Tom on the screen.
there's no other profession in the world apart from professional sports where that happens, and that's why professional sports suffer. That's why in America, a lot of these guys love college sports because there's actually a lot of good stuff. Hey, I gotta go.
All right,
Nice
mate,
talking
nice
to you.
chat.
Yeah.
Take it easy.